Recording.
Alright, hello everypony. This is Spartan Fox with Canadian. I'm a Sea Pegasus. I suck the COD.
Hi.
And everyone is here, but we actually finally got the actual and wonderful ROBCakeran53.
Hello.
Yes.
McDoodle.
Everyone knows Rob, of course, mostly for his work in My Little Dashie, aka the manliest tier story ever known to Bronyism. Mostly because every time I hear someone reading it out loud, they always cry. Every time. It never fails.
Kind of funny. I find it humorous.
I think McDoodle feels out of place.
Like, if I'm ever in a mood to actually need to cry, I'll just go and read My Little Dashie. So first of all, the question that I have actually been asked twice, and the one I was really incredibly curious about was, what was your inspiration for actually writing that tier of a story?
The inspiration, really, it pretty much was just I saw the comic and I just wrote it, and it came to me as I wrote. I don't think there was really any underlying thing that drove me to write it the way I did. It's just how it came out. There really wasn't something driving it. It just happened.
So, did you get the idea from just seeing a comic then?
Yes, it's based off of a comic by a guy named by the name of Opposite Bros. He made a little comic thing, and what happened was on, of course, your daily, it had a comment stating someone needs to make this a fanfic now, so I did.
Did it wonderfully.
And now it's, of course, the #1 fan fiction for sadness and slice of life categories. Did it ever make it onto femfiction.net?
Yes, it is there actually.
Okay, because yes.
And if I remember correctly, the guy owner of femfiction.net actually hates it, which I think is hilarious.
Why does he hate it?
I don't know. Probably. I don't really know. He's never explained, but he did a troll back on April Fool's. I don't know if anyone caught that or not, but he had a picture of Nyx saying on the banner, saying, "We have all your favorite everyone's favorite fanfics, even as well as My Little Dashie." Making it sound like no one likes My Little Dashie, which I told him, dude, that was beautiful. That's a beautiful troll. So.
If I were...
Alright, sorry. What was
if I
that
recall correctly, didn't you recently do an interview for FimFiction?
Not for FimFiction. It was actually for the Pony Archive Vault thing, where this guy was doing a collection of all like the most well-known fanfics, and he just copy-pasted that interview into it. It was the same guy,
right.
So I didn't really do an interview for FimFiction.
Okay then.
So have I seen that you've gone to a couple of conventions recently?
I went to BronyCon back in January.
Where was that at?
That was in New York. I had to go on a 13-hour train ride to New York. It was an experience I never want to live again. Not that I didn't like the train, but I didn't like New York.
I bet that was fun.
It was interesting. It gave me a whole new perspective on the world. It was an experience that I'm glad I had, but I never want to go through again.
I can imagine. So how long was the train ride?
13-hour train ride there and then 13-hour back.
Oh my goodness. I thought a 2-hour drive up to Kansas City was bad.
I thought a 12.5-hour bus ride to Quebec on a bus full of screaming kids was bad.
Ooh. Yeah, a bus is worse than a train, trust me. A bus is way worse.
Yeah, because a bus is never really actually very good as far as air conditioning or anything like that. You can't really get up and move around much.
The only thing nice about bus is that they stop, so you can get out and stretch. Of course, you can get up and stretch around in a train, too, but you'll get more motion sick.
Well, you ended up in New York, I ended up in Quebec. I think you got the lesser end of the bargain.
Okay, so, although the big question I had, though, and I always ask this to any brony that I meet just for the curiosity of, you know, connecting with them, and that is, essentially, what was your first reaction to grown men watching My Little Pony, and how did you transition into bronyism?
When I first heard, like, okay, I should also start off, when I became a brony and found out about MLP literally within 5 hours. Everything happened sudden. So, what had happened was, I guess it kind of plays into, I don't know if you're going to ask or not how I became a brony, or did you ask?
Essentially just like, you know, from your first encounter with something brony.
Basically,
you know,
what happened was, I was on the internet with a friend, and all of a sudden he spammed me MLP comics and face reaction images for like literally an hour straight. Just kept spamming me shit. I'm like, okay, what is this about? So he linked me 3 episodes. Episode what was it? Episode 25, episode 5, and then that day, episode 26 had just been released, which was the gala episode. So I watched those, and I'm like, I just watched My Little Pony and liked it. What is wrong with this? And then and it was behind Lost. I'm like, oh, no wonder.
Yeah, because essentially for me, it was actually kind of the same, really. It was, I was surfing the net, and I was watching YouTube poops, and I saw one, and essentially it was a pink pony staring down a griffin saying, and I got my eye on you. And I was like, what? I was like, I does not understand, but I like. Me gusta. And I was like, what was that? And I went through the credits, and it said My Little Pony, and I was like, what? My Little Pony, what? That cannot be My Little Pony. It had a griffin, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
and
the Griffin and Brush Off episode, I like to prescribe the first-time watchers, because Gilda just makes the show feel so different than what you think.
Right. And I was just kind of, I moved on, and then I saw another one, another YouTube poop, and it had the scene where Spike was like, if they're going to be that way, then fine. He walks through the door, slams it, and they did a loop of him slamming the door incredibly fast for like 30 seconds. And I was like, laughing my butt off, just like, what the hell is going on here? And I was like, just standing there at Twilight, just standing there, blank face, and you know, I was like, again, My Little Pony, and I was just like, later on, I saw something that had the definition of bronies, and I was disgusted, actually, at the fact that there were these grown men going on about My Little Pony, and then I saw a video that said the transition process of a newborn brony, and I watched it, and essentially everything had happened to me up until the event in the movie of the subject actually, you know, watching the episodes and then becoming a brony, and they said one of 3 things will either happen at the very end of this transition. 1, you'll watch it and you'll totally start cussing and dissing the thing and you'll become a hater. 2, you'll just kind of shrug and go, that's not my cup of tea, but whatever. Yeah. And then the final thing that could happen to you is you will like it. And from that, 2 things can happen. 1, you immediately start watching the rest of the episodes. Or 2, it takes a while, but you warm up into watching them and then you start liking it.
Yeah.
And I immediately started watching.
Yeah. And I did the same thing. After I watched those 3 episodes, I stayed up all night watching the entire series, which was easy at the time.
I watched all 26 in 3 days.
I watched all 26 in 1 day.
Ah, hardcore.
Yeah, I stayed up. I had nothing to do that day. I just stayed up.
Just
I
kind
guess
of
I
sitting
didn't
there
really have that
drooling.
pleasure.
Yeah, like oh.
So,
I guess I really didn't have that pleasure.
oh right, you got on the
Um,
bandwagon when there was
Because I
like
had to wait for
5,
them to
right?
come out.
What's that?
You started at like episode what, Alan?
I started with Trixie, yeah.
Episode 5-ish.
The great and powerful Trixie! And I was like, oh god.